From time to time in life, we often find comfort in nostalgic things. Things like grandma's homemade chili on a cold winter day, or the smell of sweet, fresh cut alfalfa while you're rolling down a back road in the summertime. The same can be said about trucks as well, however. There's a certain degree of comfort that comes along with the nostalgia of trucks from our youth. But there's one nostalgic truck from the 90s that guys just can't seem to get enough of. This diesel monster got tons of attention, but well, why? I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. You guys can find me at dusty.co on the old Instagram. In today's video, we're sitting down and answering the question to find out just why you might want a second Gen Cummins. Let's get it. As we're turning up the injection pump and hooking up the pull sled here, I wanted to remind you guys that if you need anything for your truck, be that a lift kit to bumpers to headlights to taillights to even wheels and tires, which we will mount and balance and ship to your door for free, of course, you can find all of that at customoffsets.com.
Also,
if you guys haven't already heard, we're doing another giveaway, and this time we're giving back to a pretty awesome charity that we love to support over here at Custom Offsets. That's right, if you haven't heard, we're supporting the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. The NFFF is a national charity dedicated to remembering and honoring the fallen heroes of this great nation. Now, obviously, this one was super cool to us because the anniversary of September 11th is right around the corner, and we couldn't have picked a better charity to support with this one. Best part about all of this is that you get to help us make a donation just by picking up one of these awesome t-shirts. It's got this little flag design thing, it's got our partners on the back. It's pretty cool. Plus, with every t-shirt you guys pick up, it also gets you entered to win a free set of wheels from our friends over at Moto Metal, which is pretty awesome. So we're talking free wheels, an awesome t-shirt, and a kick-ass charity. Count me in. I've got like 5 of these. They're awesome. I can't win anyway, but they're just cool. All right, so let's talk about the second Gen Cummins for just a second here. The second Gen Cummins trucks had big shoes to fill. I mean, after all, Dodge saw huge success with its first gen trucks, but it was time for a refresh. Cue the second gen. Introduced in 1994, which is a year after I was born, the second gen Cummins 3/4 and 1-ton trucks would keep the same dependable and reliable 12-valve Cummins that the first gen had, but only for a few years. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Produced between 1994 and 2002, the second gens came in a few different offerings, as we know that Dodge loves to do this, right? The automatic transmission trucks would come with what Dodge referred to as their standard output engine, which put down 215 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. In case you're more of a manual guy, good news. The manual option got the high output Cummins diesels, which put down 235 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque, which is a little bit more than the automatic. Well, not crazy by today's standards, this was competitive with the other trucks of the time, where, for example, the 7.3 Power Strokes were only putting out roughly 210 horsepower. Side note, can we just talk about how crazy that it is that when we were kids, trucks were only making like 250 horsepower, and today you can go buy a brand new Cummins that puts out 400 horsepower and over 1,000 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot, like double. It's freaking nuts. They're also rated to tow like 40,000 pounds, which is, listen, that's a whole nother topic, okay? We'll get into that another time. In terms of engine options, the second gen diesels would be powered by a 6-liter Cummins turbo diesel. In a true Dodge fashion, because they love to change things up more than your girlfriend trying to get ready on date night, Dodge offered not 1, but 2 diesel options in the second gen, depending on what year you picked it up. See, Dodge first launched the second gen in 1994, and they built off the success of the D&W 250 and 350 series trucks. Because of that, Dodge took the 12-valve and just slapped it into the new trucks with just a little bit of changes. Most notably here with the changes would be a new style injector, a much larger intercooler, and of course a new turbo, because who doesn't like spoolie stuff? Not only did these few tweaks help make better power, but they also helped reduce emissions compared to previous generations, because let's face it, the first gen trucks were not the most efficient. Now listen, in terms of diesel engines, I'm not sure that there's any other engine out there with a more cult-like following than the 12 valves. 12 valve guys, they're nuts. They're crazy. They always talk about P-pump this and reliable that and less wires this and 3 total cables through the firewall and on and on and on. While I'm joking here, it is important to note that the 12-valve guys are a proud group of people, and for good reason. The 12-valve was a solid engine, it ran forever, and it was just plain reliable, and it just got it done. Plus, if you want to make big power, it's stupid easy with a 12 valve, considering there are tons and tons of 12 valves out there being north of over 1,000 horsepower, which is a lot. But we already know all good things must come to an end, right? And thus was the case for the 12-valve Cummins diesel trucks. While I was unable to find out exactly why Cummins opted to replace the 12-valve, midway through 1998, Dodge would effectively decide to remove it and replace it with the newer, younger, and more valve-having 24-valve Cummins, because you can tell that it has more valves because of the way it is, right? Because 12-valve, 24-valve. It's kind of like that scene from Fast and the Furious where they do like the Gallo 12, Gallo 24 Skyline thing, but you know, this one actually made sense, like for real.
What would be better motor for my Skyline, a Gallo 12 or a Gallo 24? The 24. I didn't know pizza places made motors.
This new Cummins power plant would see several changes, but most notably would be that the beloved P-pump was replaced by its all-new, all-electric rotary VP44 injection pump in the 24 valves. Cummins would also make a few small tweaks to the intake system, mainly replacing the Holset HX35W in 2001 and replacing it with an HY35W turbo instead. Well, the second generation engines, because, you know, second gen, but second engine, anyway, brought a lot of positives. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns here. Perhaps one of the biggest known issues on the later generations of the Cummins was that neat little VP44 fuel pump that we talked about earlier. See, at this time in US history, we were transitioning out of low sulfur diesel into ultra low sulfur diesel, and while that was great for the environment, the one thing we forgot to take into account was that sulfur is actually a lubricity agent in diesel fuel, meaning that it kind of keeps things lubed up and slick and smooth inside of things like your fuel pump, for example. The VP44s were known for having the rotor fail on the inside of the pump, causing your Cummins not to have enough fuel to run effectively because, well, that's how injection pumps work, right? They supply fuel to the injectors and then just, bah, you know, it just happens. Another common issue with the 24 valves was that there was a run of block castings that were known to fail. Known as the 53 block scare because of the little stamping on the side of it, these block castings tend to crack and ultimately leak out your coolant, which if not caught can be catastrophic, honestly, because you kind of need coolant. Good news though, these 53 blocks were caught pretty early, so by 2001, Cummins had already put in place a remedy for this. And of course, who could forget the notorious transmission issues that have plagued Dodge for literally generations now? Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about there, but anyone who's been around a Cummins knows that the transmissions have always been a weak point. It's just the way it is. So what can you expect to get when you buy a second gen Cummins here in 2021? A quick search on the old Facebook Marketplace will find you a wide variety of pricing, but clean and low mile trucks are usually somewhere in the $13,000 to $18,000 range, at least here in Wisconsin. Now with that being said, clean and super low mile trucks are getting harder and harder to find, so don't be surprised if you find that one guy that knows what he's got and wants 20 grand or more for it. Outside of that, just like any older truck, if you're north of the Rust Belt here in Wisconsin like we are, or really in the Midwest in general, be prepared for rust. And lots of it, not just a little. Unless the previous owner and the owners before him were big into rust prevention, there's gonna be a good chance you're gonna end up with some stuck and seized and rusted parts under the cover of this thing. And your rockers, cab corners, and of course your fender wells are also likely going to need a little or maybe even a lot of attention. In terms of wheel and tires, if you're looking to stay stock height on this one, there's plenty of examples in the gallery of those trucks on 20x10s and 20x12s, usually with roughly a 33-ish size tire on them. Step that up to a 6-inch lift kit and you can clear 37s and 12 wides pretty easily, or stuff a 14 wide with 35s on it and still not need to trim too much. When it comes to overall wheel choices, we see a lot from brands like Archon Off-Road, Fuel, Hostile, and many, many more on these trucks because they just look damn good. Also, this is a great time to remind you that if you haven't already, please consider adding your truck to the gallery. Not only is the gallery a great way to like waste your lunch break looking at 100,000 different trucks with different wheel and tire packages, but it also helps others just like you and I figure out what fits and what wheel and tire sizes look like on the same truck that you have. You can add your truck, clicking the link down below, or going to customoffsets.com/add. If big trucks are your thing, a second gen Cummins may be a solid option for you, as there are a few companies that make lifts as large as 7 inches for these trucks, which is pretty impressive considering that like They're already big trucks to begin with, honestly. What do you guys think of the second gen Cummins? Would you scoop or would you pass? Let me know down in the comments section below, and also let us know if there's a video idea that you guys want on a So You Want from us in the future. With that, I'm Dustin with the Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys on the next one.